Hello my friends! Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about specific types of behavior to access neuroplasticity. In fact, we are going to focus on the actions that help us to change our nervous system. Before we begin, I'd like to say thank you to Andrew Huberman, one of my favorite people in science and neurobiology. Most of today's content taken from a couple of podcasts by him, and I'll put the link to his website in the description. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. The brain is incredibly plastic from birth until about age 25. Passive experience will shape the brain, and then somewhere about age 25, plasticity closes and you need different mechanisms to engage it. Knowing how to tap into these mechanisms is very powerful. In fact, you need to know how to signal the brain and nervous system that the change is necessary. People always asking what supplements, what drugs, what machines will help. But to access neuroplasticity, there is a natural set of conditions and specific chemicals that are released in the brain and allow us the opportunity to make those changes. In last video, we talked about alertness and focus to release certain neurochemicals. But there are other practices that allow us to engage in plasticity that doesn't involve an intense focus. Today, we will discuss the other chemical in the cocktail, in particular, dopamine. We all agree that the brain can change and control the behaviors. The question is, can behaviors change the brain? And the answer is yes, provided that behavior is different enough from the source of behaviors that we already know how to perform well. We are talking about using a way of acting as a gate to interstates of mind and body that allow us to access neuroplasticity. Then we can apply that plasticity to the specific things that we want to learn. We are not just talking about learning a bunch of motor movements. It doesn't mean to run and walk and jump to open up plasticity and access to our ability to remember information like math, language, and so on. In fact, as beneficial as exercise is, it does not open plasticity unless you do certain things. The way to create plasticity is to create errors in how we perform things. Making errors is the signal that tells the brain it's time to pay attention. We need to send signals to the brain that something is wrong, something isn't being achieved, and something is different. Failure is how our nervous system is cued that something isn't going right. Therefore, certain chemicals are deployed to tell the brain, hey, it's time to change. So start learning some motor movements like drawing, dancing, or whatever you wish, not just for learning new motor skills, but also for setting a stage in your brain where you can go learn other things as well. The more you don't know how to do that movement, the more effective it will have. Make plenty of errors during your selected activity and do not give up when it gets complicated or difficult. Frustration and uncomfortableness are signs it's working, not a sign of personal weakness. Humans do not like this feeling of frustration and making errors, but the feedback is awesome. The nervous system starts to make changes and the chemical is released, dopamine, and allows for plastic changes very fast. If you get frustrated easily and you're uncomfortable making errors, if you leverage that frustration toward drilling deeper, you are setting yourself up for a terrific set of plasticity mechanisms to engage. Give yourself positive self-talk during challenging sessions. I'd imagine smiling occasionally during the difficult experience can help. Tell yourself that those errors are good for you. Errors are the basis for neuroplasticity and for learning. In order to access neuroplasticity in adulthood, you need to be focused and you need to be in a state of alertness but calm. if you are too alert, meaning you are too anxious and you want to calm down to learn better, you can use many methods like psychological sigh, meaning inhaling twice through the nose and exhaling once through the mouth. On another side, if you are too tired and you cannot focus, in that case, coffee can help, but the best way would be to be well rested. There are other methods like superoxygenation breathing, which means inhaling more than exhaling. So look for a state of alertness but calm when you sit down to learn. We can also use balance to open up plasticity and learn better. This is where it gets really cool. Errors in vestibular movement, meaning when we are off balance, cause an area of our brain to release those chemicals that are the gates to plasticity. Does this mean inversion, yoga, handstands, or gymnastics? It depends. It depends on how regularly you perform that particular behavior and how you are terrible at doing that. For me, it could be handstand. Unlike me, if you are good at doing handstands, guess how much plasticity is going to create for you doing it for like half an hour? 0. There is 0 learning, 0 plasticity, 0 errors because your body is fully comfortable being upside down. So find a vestibular motor movement you are not comfortable with. Another example you can go for, if you are not good at standing on one foot, do it for like 10 minutes before learning a new language. It will not only improve your balance, but enhance your language practice afterward. Another aspect to get plasticity as an adult is shorter bouts of learning, because adult nervous system can tolerate smaller errors over time. Motor movements are the most straightforward way to access states of plasticity, and that can be for sake of learning the movement itself or for sake of accessing plasticity more generally. Neuroplasticity was shown to be more effective when you don't learn so much at once. So how do you make small errors? Let's say I'm terrible at doing handstands and I want to learn it. And I'm gonna make a lot of errors and of course feel a little bit better knowing that errors are the gate to plasticity. Question is, how long should I go? Until I'm hitting the point of frustration. And at that point, I will continue practicing handstand or whatever it is for some more trials, about 7 to 30 minutes. You might say that's obvious, it's just incremental learning. But the key is, those errors in a particular motor movement signal to the brain, and if I leave that episode of learning, my brain is still plastic. So the first thing is how you're arriving to the learning bout. You need to make sure your level of focus, alertness, and calmness is correct. That gets you to the starting line, and you will start learning a movement you are not good at it. If you are interested in using motor patterns as a way to open up plasticity, disrupting your balance system can be the best option, as those activities release other chemicals in the brain that makes you much better at learning. It's all about the sensation of falling or close to falling and your orientation relative to gravity. Then make lots of errors and don't worry about making mistakes. In fact, using failures to open up plasticity. You're almost seeking frustration and you might find some pleasure in the frustration. Keep making errors for 7 to 30 minutes and learn to attach dopamine in a subjective way to this process of making mistakes. Tell yourself those errors are important and good for you. And finally, don't forget to keep the bouts of learning relatively short. So you are in the best situation to learn that movement. But then, here is the beauty of it. You also have opened up the door, at least for an hour, for learning other things afterward. It's very exciting, isn't it? In the next video, we will talk about sleep. It's absolutely vital if we are going to access plasticity and rewiring the brain. So if you have not yet subscribed to the Smartister channel, please hit that subscribe button and never miss the videos. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to comment your feedback, leave a like, and share this with your community. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.